So, tell us about the peak, when you really hit.
Well, things were going really well at Manny's, and then one night, this big manager at the time, Sid Shore, unbeknownst to me, shows up. Oh, there's the one about the guy goes to a doctor. The doctor says, I'm gonna need a sample of your urine, your stool, and your semen. The guy's a little hard of hearing, so he says to his wife, what did the doctor say? She says, he wants you to leave your shorts. Good night, and thank you very much. Hey, I gotta take a piss. You crazy?
What? You tell me how this makes sense, huh? You're packing them in, doing 3 shows a night, and this schmuck who a year ago couldn't draw flies, he's getting 50% of the door. Huh, darling, the entire gate can and should be yours. All right? I work with the biggest. Normie Heinzman, huh? He's mine. Zippy Nichols? Psst, white hot, because of me.
So, did he come through on his promises?
Yes, he got me set up at some very big joints, and I was making a hell of a lot more.
Bookings in Vegas, the Catskills?
Vegas, sure. The Catskills. Are you out of your gourd? With my act, they would have skewered me and served me for Passover. But with all the new gigs he got me, now I really had to churn out the gags. So we worked on the act 24 hours a day.
So, honey, tell me what you got.
Okay. How's this one grab you? You ready? Okay. This 60-year-old guy applies for a job as a lumberjack. Stay with me. So the guy says, we can't use an old guy like you. Guy says, oh, no, and with that, he starts to chop away. Chop wood like mad. The guy asks him, where'd you learn to chop wood like that? He says, in the Sahara forest. Guy says, you mean the Sahara Desert? Guy goes, yeah, now.
That's cute. Yeah, it's clever.
Thank
As
you.
always, the Berman delivery. Oh, come on, honey, where's the edge, though? Where's the zets? Rosemarie could have told that joke.
He really pushed me to only do the dirty stuff. He felt that that was why people were coming to see me, and he was right. Okay, I think I got a good one. You ready? Mrs. Murphy arranges for the funeral of her husband. A few hours later, the undertaker calls. He says, Mrs. Murphy, your husband died with such a big erection, I can't close the coffin. We're gonna have to go for a bigger coffin. She says, nothing doing. I'm not going for anything more expensive. You can't close the coffin? Cut off his pecker and shove it up his ass. A few hours later, she goes to the wake. There's her husband lying in the coffin with tears streaming down his cheek. She leans over, she says, you see, you son of a bitch? I told you it hurts.
Bingo, bingo. That's the kind of joke that gets these punches coming back for more, huh? Oh, who's better than you? Oh, you're beautiful, doll.
Was it a romantic relationship at all?
No, not at all. Purely business. You think I gave up my boxes so easy? In fact, the marriages during my Sid period were fast and furious. There was Joey D, Iron Mo, Bobby the Sadist.
Why did they call in that?
Beats me. We didn't talk very much. Now, I'll tell you, my act grew the most when I was with Sid. So I'll open with 12-pitch a pecker and close with glass eye up the ass.
No. Flip-flop, honey. Open with the glass eye up the ass. You close with the 12-pitch and pecker. You grab them by the balls. They're yours all night.
He had a good sense, that Sid. He could read an audience like I've never seen. But you couldn't get around what came between us.
A woman?
A woman. I wish. Hialeah. He had something fierce for that track. So this woman places a $2 bet at the track on this horse. And when the horse she bet on comes out onto the field, she notices he's got a terrific heart on. She goes back to the clerk. She says, I want my money back. He says, how come? She says, that horse is gonna screw someone, honey, and it ain't gonna be me.
So where is he now?
I heard a vicious rumor. He's in the concrete they use for the foundation of the Fontainebleau. A shame. But he was around long enough to set up Rusty's.
Oh, your home base, the club in Miami.
Yes. He always wanted that for me. You know, my own crib. I'm only sorry he wasn't around to see those days. That's when things really started to cook.
Welcome to Rusty's. Right this way, please.
Good morning, Mr. Gray. Good morning, Mrs. Gray. Oh, I like the sound of my new name. Well, don't get too used to it, girlie. We're checking out of this motel in 2 hours.
Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Rusty Berman.
great crowd. Nice-looking crowd tonight. Hello, madam. How are you? Very lovely outfit. Is that an Italian knit?
Yes, I got it in Rome. We just got back from there.
Really? Rome? Ooh, pardon me. You know, I hear they're having a lot of trouble over there with the pigeons taking a crap all over the steps of St. Peter's. It's true, so they figured they would hire a guy to chase the pigeons away. It would pay. So one day, the Pope comes out. He sees the guy they hired with the pigeons all around him, and he's yelling, "Fuck off! Fuck off!" Pope walks over to him. He says, "My dear man, there's no need to use profanity. When the pigeons start to congregate and you want to chase them away, just simply say, shoo, shoo, and they'll fuck off."
And was the reaction at all different now that you were performing at your own place?
A little. I felt with my name on the door, people knew what they were getting into. But I constantly had to deal with people's shock. So the Pope was doing a crossword puzzle, and he asked one of the bishops, "What's a 4-letter word for female ending in UNT?" The bishop says, "Ant." The Pope goes, "You got an eraser?"
You know, I remember when I was a young boy that my parents used to have a Rusty Berman album. It was Pardon My Boner, I think was the title of it. Was on the Climax label. And I used to be asleep in my bed, and I would hear them downstairs all laughing, and I used to come out to hear what it was, and they would always take the needle off the record so I couldn't hear. But I remember one night I heard one joke on it about the new recruit at the French Foreign Legion who had been out at the camp there for a few weeks and went up to this commanding officer and he said, "You know, sir, it gets kind of lonesome out here. What do the other men do when they feel the need for companionship?" He says, "Well, there's a camel we got hitched up to the post there on the other side of the tent." And he said, "Oh, I see." And so late that night, he goes over to the camel and has his way with the beast and goes back to his commanding officer and he says, "So is that what the other men do?" He says, "No, they ride into town, go to the whorehouse."
Did you hear about the Fagala was brushing his teeth one morning? His gums started to bleed. He says, "Thank God, save for another 28 days. Every group out there, they're so sensitive. They can't take a little ribbing. It's crazy. Especially with what I see they get away with today. My stuff was ivory soap compared to that.
You mean compared with somebody like Andrew Dice Clay?
And how? And I'll tell you something else. I was doing the nursery rhymes bit when that prick was still in diapers.